This is an iPad 3 screen replacement guide. The first thing I do is put some single-sided tape across the front of the broken screen. This takes a little bit of time, but it is worth it because it stops shards of glass going everywhere on your desk, on your floor, and potentially cutting your hands. So it takes some wide single-sided tape. This is quite easy to do, quite simple and cheap. So I've just speeded the film up a bit so it just goes through this a bit more quickly, so you can see exactly how much tape I use and where I use it before we move on to the next stage. The next stage is to heat up the screen. So I use a heat gun. You can use a hairdryer, but this is a normal heat gun. I put it on the lowest setting, and you need to start on one side of the iPad. Start on with the home button, and with its position on the screen you can see it to the right, and just heat up one side of it, one half of the screen. Now you can do all of it, but it does take a while to do, so you need to keep coming back and heating up various parts of the screen. But just heat it up so you can just about touch it. That's my measure of how hot you need to get it. Keep testing and touching it. If you can still touch it, then that's about the right heat for getting the adhesive off. So this is just using on the lowest setting on a heat gun, and do this for a few minutes to get the right temperature. Once you've heated the screen up, you need to remove the screen. I use an isosmo tool. I've actually speeded this up a bit because it takes quite a long time. It took me about 20 minutes to do this all in all. But I start just to the right hand corner to the right of the home button and work my way around the edge with an isosmo tool. This is a great little tool which you can get off the internet for about £6, and you work your way around, just working the edges, and so you're just beneath the black bezel. Now some people work between the bezel and the screen. Others recommend that you work your tool between the frame and the black bezel, the plastic bit which the screen sits upon. So the advantage of taking the black bezel off, going under the black bezel, it generally keeps it intact, so you can obviously reuse that. That's a very cheap piece of equipment, spare part to buy, but just work your way around, and I use some of the free plastic plectrums which you get with some of the kits, repair kits, and that's either to slide around if you've got delicate parts, like in the top right hand corner as you can see on the screen now, where there's the volume buttons, and then just insert the plectrums in to make sure you've got the screen doesn't re-glue itself to the frame, and just gently work your way around, but be aware the area immediate to the right of the home button, when it's on the bottom, that's where the Wi-Fi antenna is, so you need to be a little careful. So if it cools off a bit, just add a little bit more heat, and this will keep the glue warm and make it loosen up more easily. But just keep working around and inserting the isosmo tool or your device underneath the screen, and work your way around and insert, when appropriate, insert some other plectrums. You can see I've got some on the top left hand corner there, and those will keep the work you have done, keep the screen raised up. Now it does take a bit of time, especially when you've got a broken screen, so just be very patient. Try not to dig down at an angle into the underneath the screen, because there are delicate parts where the blue plectrum is right now on the screen, on the shot. That's where there are various components and the camera, and especially on a 3G version, so just be very careful with the screen, and placing your iSesamo tool or opening tool at an angle. Just keep it flat and horizontal to the screen, and you'll just slide it underneath and loosen the glass, the screen off underneath the glass. So just keep working around, insert the plectrums, and just be patient. It does take a bit of time. So you see there are bits of glass underneath the tape there, so this one comes a bit tricky, so bits of glass peel off. You're going to get this with some broken screens, and you just have to be patient and remove the bits of glass when you can, and just be careful that you don't cut yourselves on them, because it can be quite sharp. So you can see I'm just gradually working my way around. I'm giving a bit of a twist now, just to separate a bit, but you can see I'm only doing that with the plastic plectrums so it doesn't damage any parts underneath. And to keep working around and keep moving it around and applying a bit of heat, so working anti-clockwise from the home button to make sure you can loosen the screen off as easily as possible. So this is really is quite a slow process. This is the longest part, the part that takes the most time off taking an iPad 3 screen off. You can see just gently move it around, try and get that iSesamo tool underneath the black bezel, and but without damaging the frame. So just keep working your way around and loosen it up, and twist and move, twist and loosen, remove bits of glass if you have to. Now you can see here I'm just gradually lifting up with my fingers now. This is on the 3G version. You can see there's the 3G components are just beneath my fingers there, and that will just be careful of those because they're a bit delicate, but just try and keep moving along and separating the glass from the frame by using your plectrums. So it does take a bit of time, but just keep patient, keep doing it slowly, and take your time so you can understand exactly where all the components are underneath the glass, and so you don't damage anything. So to continue on from where I left on the last section, you just see me gradually working my way around. Be very careful. The main area to be careful around is the to the right of the home button. If it's on the bottom, it's on the bottom or on the side to the right, because that's where the Wi-Fi antenna is, and you need to be very careful when you're removing that, because it's stuck to the underside of the screen, and it's very easy to rip the Wi-Fi antenna off, so be very careful. So at this point you can see I'm splitting it apart, starting to make some headway. You can start to use my fingers to sort of pry the screen apart, and use the iSesamo tool to just detach some of the glue, and just keep gradually working around, making sure the screen is detached in all places, but again be very careful around the home button to the right of that if it's on the bottom, because that's where the Wi-Fi antenna is, and it's very easy to slice that off and damage it. So just be very careful with that particular component. Right, we're getting to the final stages of removing the screen. I'm picking around the edges using my iSesamo tool, and gradually